And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror. And tonight, I want to spotlight what I consider to be one of the most extreme, intense home invasion horror thrillers ever, and that is Extremities. Look, I've got Farrah hair. So yes, this is Extremities. Extremities was released in 1986. It was directed by Robert M. Young. It was written by William Mastrosimone, starring Farrah Fawcett, whom we all know, James Russo, Alfre Woodard, and Diane Scarwid. Now, of course you know Scarwid. She was Christina in Mommy Dearest. She was in Psycho 3, Rumblefish. So yeah, all of these are pretty well-known actors, and boy did they do a good job. Now, Extremities was another of Farrah's extreme genre twists. One thing that woman was not afraid of, and that was controversial subjects. You know, Extremities, in my opinion, is just as shocking and just as intense as The Burning Bed. So she definitely had that period where she was going out full force for the most intense movies that she could do and intense subject matter. And here is another one. Now, like I said, Extremities is a home invasion horror thriller. The movie begins with an introduction to Marjorie, played by Farrah Fawcett. She lives with her two roommates, Pat, played by Alfre Woodard, and Terry, played by Diana Scarwid. And she's an archaeologist, a flora and fauna archaeologist. So she leaves work and she wants to stop by and pick up an ice cream cone. Now, we had seen this creepy, from first person perspective, we had seen a creeper like creeping single women. So she shows up just after the place is locked up and closed. So she can't get her ice cream cone. She goes into her car where she is attacked by a masked man who holds a big giant hunter's knife, Rambo type knife, to her throat and forces her to drive to a deserted street where he attempts to assault her, and he is so creepy. I mean, he is so sadistic. So she fights back and she manages to get out and get away and outrun him and get to the freeway where she is picked up and taken to the police station. There we see the typical, as you can imagine. They make her fill out a form. She doesn't like the words that they're using, you know. But they say, you know, well, this is just the way we gotta fill it out. They, of course, tell her pretty much what we all know about cops, and that is that there's not really much we can do. I mean, it's your word against his. No description. If we do find him, we can dust your car for prints. If we do find him, it's just your word against his. And she's like, well, yeah, but, you know, I ran out the car. So he's got my purse, which means he has me wallet. And in me wallet is me ID. Can I get some protection? And they're like, just call us and we'll be there. So she's like, okay, well, you know. So she like has to walk out, and she doesn't even sign the complaint because it's fucking pointless, and she knows that. So during this first act, we see the aftermath, her fear. She deadbolts all the doors, gives her roommates keys to it. She's obviously traumatized. She's a little paranoid, but sincerely and rightfully so. Several weeks go by because of her fear, very sincere fear. This man has your ID. He knows where you live. So she's like, she fucks up. She's repotting a plant, a rubber tree plant, it looked like. And she gets stung by a wasp. So she grabs the wasp spray, she sprays the nest, and then she goes and, takes a shower, doctors her leg, all forgetting to lock that door back, deadbolt that door back. She comes in and sits by the fish tank, and she's just sitting there, not paying attention. And then this guy. Now remember, he was wearing a ski mask, so we don't know, but of course we assume. So this guy just walks up to the door, and she sees him, but he's already inside, and he's standing there, wanting to know if Joe lives here. Very creepy. He was supposed to stop by and pick up some money. No, Joe doesn't live here. There is no Joe here. You've got to go. Can I use your phone? No, you've got to go. Or I'm going to tell my husband, who is upstairs. Never try that trick. They know that shit. So I'm going to tell my husband he's upstairs sleeping. Well, go ask him anyway. No, he's not. So he starts screaming for her husband because he knows he's not there. And then the shit goes south. So this kicks off the second act, in which it is some of the most uncomfortable to watch sadistic behavior by this guy. He beats her, makes her dress up for him, picks clothes out for her into the closet, wants her to go get him a beer, wants him to cook, and every little thing that she comes up with, like he takes her to the kitchen and wants him to cook him something. So she's like, we don't have any meat except bacon. I can cook you some bacon and eggs. And what's interesting about this movie is everything that you think of that you would do, she does kind of try it, and that dude is on top of it. Like when she's cooking the eggs, she puts 10 times the amount of butter in the pan. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's going to throw the butter on him. Well, that would be a good idea. That would be my idea too. And yet he's sitting there in the chair and he looks up at her and he's like, you throw that butter on me and I'll fucking kill you. And you're like, ooh. And he gets up and he's like, do you think I'm stupid? And then he's like, what are you doing? Making popcorn? So he looks in the cabinet, he grabs the popcorn, he pours all in it, and he holds her face over it and all. I mean, this dude is so creepy, so sadistic. So you spend a good 25 minutes with this act, and the brutality and the smarminess and he's just, James Russo has got it down. Now, after you witness this horror, which it is, I mean, like I said, it's one of the most uncomfortable 30 minutes to watch of his sadistic behavior against her and all the things he tries to do and the few times she tries to get away and the beating she gets because of it. So he's got her on the floor, and I think the assault is fixing to start, that kind of assault. And she notices that can of wasp spray, that she had sprayed that nest with, sitting over there on the floor amongst all the other shit that has been busted all up in the house with all of this stuff. And he manages to stay distracted enough for her to get that. And she fills his face full of it. And you are just jumping up and down going, yes, And so she fills his face full of wasp spray, hornet nest spray, which does not treat him very well. And the tables are turned. She ties his legs up, his arms up, and she tries to run and go get help. Terry has her car, so Terry's messed up car is in the thing. She tries to get away. Now the whole time, this dude is screaming at her, go ahead, call the cops. It's your word against mine. They'll put me in for a little bit, but I'll get out and then I'll kill you all, So you basically like, well, if that's the case, just shut up, because you're basically convincing her that the only thing she can do is kill your ass. And he keeps running his mouth, screaming at her these things. And she remembers that a lot of the stuff that he is saying is exactly what the cops told her. Your word against mine, can't prove nothing. He's like, you don't have any of my DNA in you. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't get time. There's nothing you can prove. So she basically does come to the conclusion that she's just going to kill his ass and bury him in the flower garden. So she comes and she uses a fire poker, and she gets him into the fireplace and puts a bed railing up over it. So she basically makes a little prison in this fireplace where she holds him. While she's out there digging a hole, she is literally going to drag him out there and bury him alive in it. Now, the more interesting stuff shows up. Now, remember, this is 8 o'clock in the morning that this shit started. It's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so she has been beaten, abused, and tortured all day long. Terry comes home at 3 o'clock, comes walking into the house while she's out there digging the grave, and sees him there and runs to her and what's going on. Her reaction to the situation is phenomenal. Farrah, or Marjorie, tells her, this is what happened, this is what's been done to me, this is what he said he was going to do. And she's scared to death. Terry is scared to death. She's like, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be a conspirator. I don't want to be an accomplice. I don't want to, be a part of this. Well, he's going to come and kill us, blah, blah, blah. So you have this really intense action about, what they're going to do. Now, the whole time, this dude is sitting there trying to play them off against each other. You watch him while I go dig the hole. And he, of course, is going to try to talk Terry into, I didn't do nothing, she's crazy, I just came here, blah, blah, blah. So that's all, really interesting to watch. And then, of course, I guess probably the one that you would call the most mature and all, she's a social worker, actually, and that is Alfre Woodard. Pat comes home. She walks into this mess as well. They spend so much time trying to talk her out of it, we can do something else, and let me get the medicine from the pharmacy to put on the poison, from the wasp spray, and stuff like that. And that goes on for quite a while too. It's so much interesting dialogue, it's not even funny. You know what I mean? You're glued. There's one thing you can say about this movie, and that is that you are definitely glued to it. There is no peace. There is no break for you to go use the bathroom or to distract yourself with something else. When it finally kicks off the final act, she allows them to go get the medicine. Terry doesn't come back fast enough though, so she's going to kill him. Pat tries to stop her. And they actually get him out and into a chair because Terry shows up just in time, screaming, I'm sorry, traffic was bad, I'm late, don't kill him yet, don't kill him yet, I didn't go to the police, I'm here. So they get him out into a chair and all of that, and she's like, look, I'll let y'all call the police if he admits to what he's done. Now, of course, he just starts talking all kind of bullshit. I'm the ice cream man, I just came here to use the phone. She went crazy on me. Well, it doesn't take too long before Marjorie gives up. And I think she does the most interesting idea, and that is she becomes him. She starts saying all of the nasty stuff to him that she said to her. She takes that Rambo knife and puts it to his throat, and she is abusing him verbally. She is calling him names, tell me you love me, tell me you want me to make love to you. You know, calling him all of these names. And almost every time it comes with a big, massive slap. So all I know is that the actors in this movie, they must have James and Farrah must have had an understanding that they were going to get hurt physically making this movie. Because none of these slaps and punches and stuff, none of them are fake. Okay? It's filmed dead on. And she is just absolutely slapping him into his next lifespan or whatever. I don't know. She's beating the shit out of him. And this is all taking place in front of Pat and Terry, who are standing there. They're both traumatized. She keeps right on until she finally breaks him. And that's when he admits, yes, I've been watching the house. Yes, I've stole the mail. That's how I know all about your lives. He's been stealing their mail for weeks. He's been stealing their mail. He's been watching them. He knows whose boyfriend is who. He's read letters and knows their business and stuff like that. So once he let that out, she starts, give me more, give me more. And then he finally does. He finally admits that he had come there not only to kill her and assault her, but that he had come to also kill the roommates as well. He was going to kill all three of them. And then to their surprise, he admits to the murder of 3 other women and gives them their names. Now at that point, they can go get the cops because there's 3 unsolved murders and they have their names. These girls have the other girls' names. So he's gone. He's done. He's cooked. And then she lets him, she turns and says, you can go get the police now. And after he confessed and all, he fell on the floor like crying and stuff, like, thank you, and he was married with kids and stuff. And yet he admits to murdering 3 women and have come there to kill them. So, needless to say, I think it is a very, very underrated movie. It is one of the most, you can see how bad she looks. I mean, he was tearing her up, during this movie. So yeah, I just wanted to spotlight this movie. I think it is absolutely phenomenal. And top-notch actors at their masterclass best. The social commentary on the lack of, the dismissiveness of police, personal safety, how you judge these things when you're in a position to, have to take law into your own hands because the law is useless. And that's what a lot of this movie is about. What was that Dixie Chick song? Goodbye Earl. He tore right through that restraining order and put you in the hospital. And that's just it. It's like somebody wants to beat you down. Some piece of paper isn't going to stop them, And she was correct. If she had called the police at the beginning, if she had gotten away, it would have happened exactly like he said. The cops would have came. What are you doing in here? He attacked me. Okay, well, what? They may get him on assault. But she can't prove that that was the one who attacked her before. She can't prove anything. And he would have went to jail for a little bit, got out on parole, come back and killed them all, and she wasn't going to live the rest of her life looking over her shoulder waiting for him to come. And he would have. Especially when we found out that he was a serial killer. So, yeah, if you've never seen Extremities, it's one of Farrah Fawcett's best. This release is the only North American release. It is an Olive Films remaster, and that company went out of business, I think, a year and a half ago. So this is it. This is all you can get. And of course, as people get it into their collection, there will be less and less of them available. And right now, there is no other release. So I would suggest grabbing it. I know Pop Market has it on eBay. That's where I got it from. I know I saw it somewhere else too. Amazon. It was on Amazon as well. This is on Amazon as well. So, yeah. While it's available, I would get it. Farrah Fawcett is amazing in it. James Russo, Alfre Woodard, 1986. Extremities. And I will see you in the next thing I do. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. This movie is a 9 out of 10 to me. And I will see you next. Always remember, never forget, you're a very special person no matter what anybody says to you. And take care of yourself. Don't wait for the cops to help you. Watch. Look. Listen. Be aware of your surroundings. Because it can happen at any time. And I will see you next thing I do. Bye-bye.